First, I want to mention that you should have received an email from AAFCO saying that you have free access to the bin today. It's only going to be today, and there should have been some mention about being able to use the online database of ingredients, ODI. And if you saved any labels, we'll be going through that probably about the middle of this presentation. So you can either watch me or you can upload your labels and do it yourself at that time. So I'm going to give an overview of licensing, labeling, and inspection fee reporting. Before I begin, I want to go through some references that I'm going to be making. I'll touch on the RCW 1553 commercial feed law, WAC 16250 commercial feed rule, the official publication, and the online database of ingredients. Some of this information is going to be a little overlap from what Kim talked about and repeated, so I apologize for that. Let's see, I'm going to begin with commercial feed. What is a commercial feed? Commercial feed is all materials or combination of materials that are distributed or intended for distribution for use as feed or for mixing in feed, unless exempted. The following are exempt from definition of commercial feed unless adulterated, unmixed whole seeds, physically altered entire unmixed seeds when such seeds are not chemically changed, raw meat, hay, loose salt, straw, stover, silage, cobs, husk, and hulls when not ground, mixed, or intermixed with other materials. So an example is if you distribute whole corn, whole barley, and whole oats individually, it's exempt from the rule. However, if you take those same ingredients and you mix them together, it now becomes a commercial feed and you are required to license, label, and report tonnage on that. Who needs a license? So there's 3 activities that would require you to need a license. If you manufacture a commercial feed in the state, manufacture is grind, mix, or blend. If you distribute a commercial feed in or into the state, distribute means to offer for sell, exchange, or barter commercial feed. And sell means all parts of exchanges concerning commercial feed, including but not limited to, and this is a long one, advertising, offering, acceptance, dispensing, giving, delivering, serving, bartering, trading, or other supplying, holding for sale, and preparing for sale. So when we use the term distribute to talk about all of this. And third, if you are the name that appears on the label as the guarantor. Guarantor means any person whose name appears on the label of the commercial feed and is responsible for label information, as long as it's not misleading or misbranded, compliance with the product and label, and licensing the facility that distributes into the state. So if you do any of those 3 activities, you need a license for each facility that distributes. So it wouldn't be just the headquarters that may be on your label. If you have a facility in another location that distributes into our state, then you need a license for each of those facilities. Okay, completing the application. There's 3 parts to the application. This is the first part. It was basically the contact information for the applicant. So this is the company filling out the application. This may be different from the company actually being licensed. We also need the contact information for the inspection fee reporting. Excuse me. And then we have the information for the actual facility that's being licensed. this is, so if the applicant and the license location are different, meaning the address is different, then I would expect to see a contact for the licensed facility. Once that address changes, then I need contact information at that facility. The second section is the distribution type. This is the processing type. So depending on whatever you're manufacturing, you would select one of those. You might not have anything to select there if you're only the guarantor of the product or if you only distribute. So that section is not necessarily, I'm not going to send it back to you if I don't see anything there. We do require the animal class. So this is the section where you're going to select the type of product you distribute by species. These products are intended for the end user and not further manufacturing mainly. And mainly those are the type of products you're going to see at your local feed store in package form. Ingredients. So these are the ingredient categories. If you don't know where your ingredients are, there's a reference here that I'll get to, but these are just the categories. So you select the type of ingredient that you're distributing. If you have multiple locations that you're distributing from, this may differ. So let's see, the ingredients you're licensing or you're getting a license to distribute, they are required to be defined, grass, or common or usual. If you're not sure, okay, guess I'm not staying up on my slides. If you're not sure about where your ingredient falls into, there's the official publication defined ingredient list that, let's see if this works. That it's on the WSDA website. And this is just going to give you the defined ingredient name and the category that it falls into. This does not give you any definitions. If you need to look up a definition to make sure or to find out where it does fall into and that you're labeling it correctly, then or using it correctly, then you'll need to reference the official publication, and that's through the handbook or the online AAFCO feed bin. And we'll get into that too. So this is a searchable document, just Control F and you can search however you want. So that's how you find out where your ingredient falls under. Okay, so we're going to go into a very, very high overview of labeling, but getting more details into the ingredients and looking up ingredients. Requirements for labeling is that following information is required on the PDP: brand, product name, purpose statement, quantity statement, and then a guaranteed analysis, ingredient statement, directions for use and precautionary statements, name and address of manufacturer or guarantor, and a lot identifier. Okay, so getting into more of the defined ingredients. So ingredients can be listed in collective terms or individually. Some So an example is grain products. That would be the collective term. When you use collective terms, you need to stick with the term. For example, you can't state grain products, then later in the statement call out barley. And then using what's underlined is using the individual defined term. There are two ways to search for defined ingredients through the online feed bin. An individual ingredient search in the OP or printed publication online. Or scan your label and have OD search it. Okay, so let me get into, so this is what OD looks, or what the feed bin looks like. If you want to use your own labels and follow along with me. So this is the feed bin. This is what it looks like when you get into it. If you need a quick access to it, you can go to AAFCO.org, and on the main page, just scroll down, and it's right here. Okay, so individual search of ingredients. You can go into the online OP, search, go to the search field, and let's type molasses. It will highlight every reference to molasses, so kind of think of it in terms of where ingredients are in your book publication, if you have one, which would be towards the latter half. I'm looking for a number, so is that it? Yeah, I think this is it. So, okay, this is the tail end. So for instance, if you're looking for molasses type products, you would go here and find the ingredient that you're looking for. And however it is here is how it should be displayed on the label itself. So that's one way to do a search in the OP. And just a second. I have a box covering up my options here. Okay, so I'm going to get out of there, and then I came up with 3 examples, kind of show you when you do upload a label, what it's going to look at. So to scan a label, you're going to click into OD. And hold on just a second. It's not giving me what I normally see. So I usually have oh wait, I know, hold on. Okay, so this is what you're originally going to see. I was in my personal screen. So this is what you should see when you click on that button. You're going to go here to upload an image. Shoot, I'm not on my computer, so hold on just a second. Okay, so I'm going to upload my first example. This is going to be that label that you saw on the presentation screen. And what it's going to do is it's going to look for the image. And what you need to do is select the ingredients section. And I'm going to bring this down. If you have a mouse that has a wheel, be careful not to use that thinking you're trying to scroll up or down, because that is going to make the image larger or bigger. It's disappeared on me completely sometimes because I forget to do that or not to do that. Okay, so when you have the area of the label that you want to scan, scroll up and go to next. It's going to process. You can put in whatever information you think is useful. I'm just going to call this example 1. You put in product type, the brand, and the guarantor, and then click create. And then when you scroll down, you can see what was found and what was not found according to that label. This was not found because, and for some reason, riboflavin supplement is actually a defined ingredient, but for some reason, I think it's probably because of the period, if you could see that there. I don't think it liked the period, but usually that should be down into the name found. And then the reason why this hasn't gone into the name found is because of the way it's named, and I'll kind of get into that into my next example. So let's say that this is good, then you could just add it to your user list. You can make a note if you want to buy it, whatever that may be, and then now it's moved from the not found to the my customer user list. So let's go back. Oops. And I'll show you exactly like why things need to be named according to how it's defined in the OP. And that I kind of gave you an example, but this will probably be better. What I did was I just typed up an ingredients list. Okay. Okay, so that's my ingredient list. Okay, so in this example, it didn't find alfalfa or flax oil sunflower seeds. Those are common and usual, so those are fine, but it didn't find zinc methionine. So I'm going to open up another window. If I look if I do a search for zinc methionine, let me enlarge it. Okay, so it's in there, but it doesn't have this complex added to it. So that's why, oops. So that's why it's in the not found list. So if I go back, where am I going? Oh, I'm just going up here. If I go back, and I'm not going to adjust it too much. I'll just adjust like that. I did change that example, and I added the complex, and now it's down in the found section. So when it is found, you can click on these, and these will take you to the actual section that it talks about in the official publication. So you can see the definition, make sure that you're using it how it's defined, making all the, if there's any guarantee requirements, you can see that. And so, yeah, it's a very helpful tool that some other people than me had great ideas, and they implemented it, and it's just a wonderful tool for both industry and regulators. There is a great instructional video that you can click on, and that is actually, I think it's out onto the means, oh, there we go. So it just kind of stays there. This little guy right here will take you to your settings. And so you could see all the different labels that you may have uploaded. If you need to delete them or reference them again, you have them there. I know that there is a version that you can use with your phone. I haven't used that yet, but if you need, or if you're interested and want information about that, you can contact me and I can put you in touch with the people who can tell you more about that. But does anybody have any questions now about OD that they want to talk about? Larissa, has anybody asked anything?
Not yet. Let's give some folks a little bit of time. This would be a nice opportunity to type in the chat box any questions that you have. And I think Liz should just go right on into your last presentation, just for continuity's sake,
Okay.
since you're on a roll and all the topics line up. So let's see, anything else? I just have a question. How long has this database been available? This is really, really cool. I love it. Now, and I'm not even going to use it because this is not my area, but I just want to get online and start playing with it because it's just so interesting.
It is, and the OD has only been around for a year and a half, I think, or a year. The online publication for searching has been around for quite a long time, so
Right.
a lot of work has gone into that, and I really appreciate AFCO giving. I mean, I hope people are able to use the online free version if they have it today, just to play around. You'll have it till the end of the day, because it is a very handy tool.
Okay, so yeah, that was a question that just came up. So the answer is, for today, it is free. And it's free with your subscription to the AFCO Online OP.
Yes, yeah, so you can, you can't see the web page, can you, that I just went to? Let me share that. Okay, can you see the web page now?
Just a little sec. Yep, now we can.
Okay, so you can go to AFCO, and Richard would probably be able to tell me more, but I thought I saw before something around over here. Sorry, I don't, oh, maybe it's in the publication. Okay, here it is. So you can get the book version, or you can get the online version, and then you would have access to searching it. And then there is a 14-day trial if you want to use that as well to test it out. So there's options.
Okay, I did get a question about a recording of this training and of this presentation, and yes, so there will be a recording along with the slides made available to all participants after this training. Give us a few days to gather all of that and get it all cleaned up for you folks, and then we'll provide you the links and the materials so that you can review these things with more time. I do have a comment from somebody saying I'm not able to access my Feedbin current 2020 publication. Do you know anything that can help out that participant who posted that question?
If it's a free version, you should have received an email earlier today with a link. So look for that. But if you usually have access, I would contact AAFCO and find out what's going on, because they'll be able to look behind the scenes and figure out what's going on with your subscription.
What is that? Okay, so all right, looks like we're going to be able to help that individual out. So if there's no more questions, Liz, I think maybe going into your inspection fee reporting
Okay.
presentation, and then we'll wrap things up a little earlier, but I think nobody will mind that we didn't take a break. Sorry, folks. I'm a slave driver.
Oh, I can relate. Okay, so going into an overview of reporting inspection fees. Um, okay. So if you're a licensee or have registrations, you're required to report distribution every 6 months. Reports are due every January 31st and July 31st, reporting for that previous 6 months. The initial distributor is responsible for paying the inspection fee unless you're exempting to a responsible buyer or initial distributor. We generally, if we have an email address in our database for you, and it's correct, we will email you the report, usually like a month or at least 3 weeks prior to the due date, which so I will be sending out reports here very end of May, very beginning of June. You'll have until July 31st to get those in. If you don't receive one, you can also go out onto the WSDA website and get a form there. It is fillable and it does the calculations for you. Okay, so products distributed under a license are reported under animal class and ingredients. And registered products are reported under pet and specialty products. Some companies, they may have both a license and a registration. You could see my pointer, there's a license or registration number. If you're a licensee, I should only see numbers here and here. If you're a registration, I should only see numbers here. If you're both, if you have both, then and your license and registration are tied together, then you can report on one. All distribution is reported whether it's a complete or supplement product. Examples of a complete product are foods, treats, toppers, and supplements are vitamins and minerals. So reporting for specialty pet food, you are required to report by species. Oops. So dog, cat, specialty pet. Sometimes gray areas might be for fish or rabbit. So just remember, if you are distributing fish product that is for a goldfish or any type of fish kept in an aquarium, you're going to report it in that lower section under pet and specialty pet food. Same thing with rabbit. If the product is labeled as a food for your pet rabbit, then it's going to go under pet or specialty. If it's like farmed fish or a just like a big bag of rabbit food that it doesn't specify that it's for pet, you're going to report it under the animal class section. And depending on how you label those products, you should have a registration or the license for those products. Okay, so for special or for dog and specialty dog, cat, and specialty pet, you're going to report your total distribution by the type of product, so complete and supplement. If you distribute in less than 10-pound packages, you can exempt that. So that's going to be so of that total distribution, how much of that was in less than 10-pound packages? And then put that in that exemption column. For licensed product, you're going to distribute, again, by animal class or feed ingredients. So you're going to report the total distribution by each category. You can make exemptions to an initial distributor or responsible buyer, but you have to tell us who you're exempting to. So you would use Form 4309A and specify who that is. Responsible buyers have a list, so it would only be somebody on that list that you could exempt to. Let's see. If you're going to report by location, so however many facilities you have licensed, you're reporting for those locations. It can't be all added up all onto one. Same thing with registration. If you have multiple registration numbers, I'm going to look to see, so if you have hamster food on one registration and you have another registration that has dog food, I should see the dog food on that corresponding tonnage report and hamster food on the correct tonnage report as well. Okay, so to calculate your fees, you're going to sum the amounts entered in the complete and supplement column and then the distribution for ingredients. You're going to enter that on line A. And then to calculate your exemptions, you're going to add up all the numbers put into the exemption column and put that on line B. Subtract line B from A, and this is the amount that goes on line C. To calculate the fees, you're going to multiply what's on line C by 12 cents and enter on line D. And then if you're not late, you owe that amount. If the amount comes to less than $12.50, so let's say it only came to $2 and some cents, you are required to pay the minimum of $12.50. And then don't forget to sign your form. It is required, and it'll be sent back if I don't get that. If you didn't distribute, if your distribution doesn't come up to a ton, you're still required to report that whatever was distributed. If there wasn't any distributed, you can check the 0 box. And if there are no fees, then you can submit them via email to me. There are naming conventions for the files so that I require. So you can go out to the instructions on the website and look at what those naming conventions are, or send me an email or phone me, whichever is easiest for you, and I can help you with that. That's about it. So thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, so any questions right now then for this last part of Liz's presentation on inspection fee reporting? I know we've been putting a lot of extra information to the chat box, who you can contact with questions, some emails, and again, all of this slides will be made available to you folks. And now you know who to contact Kim and Liz when you're submitting all your renew applications, and just have general questions. They're always available and willing to answer your phone calls, your emails. Look at that. There's just a multiple of ways of contacting the animal feed program. It's incredible. Okay, Liz, I don't see any questions, but thank you so much for making what you said was going to be a dry presentation. I certainly didn't find it to be dry, and you just were able to, share this wealth of information with us and in a really engaging way. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Louisa.